5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Whether you've been married 1 or 20 plus years, at some point you realize you married into crazy. And that's what our show is all about. If your marriage or relationship is compassionate, real, accountable, zealous and yielding, or just plain crazy, Snooks and Lovey offer love, laughter, and a dose of reality as they unpack this thing called marriage. Sit back, relax, and get your ear hustle on. It's time to start the conversation.
Welcome back to another episode of the Married into Crazy podcast with Snooks and Lovey.
I'm Snooks.
I'm Lovey. Yeah, she hasn't dumped me yet. You know, after 27 years, I'm still hanging in there.
I'm going to just say, almost earlier today, there was going to be a dumping. So
that's every day.
No, it's different. So, quick story.
Well, tell them who we are first. We've been married for 27 years, so this is an ongoing story. She does this every single day. She's going to dump me. But go ahead, get into it.
It's not ongoing. This is new. The car. So anyway, yesterday, our daughter drove my car to work, and she got into a car accident. She's fine. You know, of course, I wasn't really that concerned. My heart did skip a beat because I was like, oh, my baby. But I was talking about my car, not my daughter. Nah, I'm playing. But a little bit. So I took it in today, and they might total it. And I'm just so devastated right now. And Lovey was like, you know, just get all the stuff out of it because it's here. And if they're going to total it, then it'll already just be here. And I was like, I need to come and say goodbye to my car. That is so, I felt like that was kind of just insensitive and kind of rude. And he's like, why would you cry? Really? Why would I cry?
So these are the things that couples go through where they've been married.
No, people don't act like that.
1 week, 1 month, 10 years, 20 years, what have you. So there's this cascading scale, right? So we go through stuff on a daily basis. And that's what we talk about here on the podcast. Married into Crazy podcast is about all things marriage. Even when people are crying over their cars that may be totaled and she can get a nicer car that she wants. But we're not going to go there.
Okay. We got it on tape. I'm just saying. So in a month or two, I come back and we're talking. And he's like, well, you know, blah, blah, blah. Or I'm upset because I didn't get the car that I wanted. It's going to be a problem. I think I could take you to court for that. Yeah, rewind that.
I think I said might. She might get. I said that. But look, go to marriedintocrazy.com and look at all the different ways that we support your marriage. There's so many different things that we do, from gear so you can let everybody know how married into crazy you are, to online curriculum to assist you in just developing communication. Of course, there's the coaching. But what we truly love to do on this podcast is bring you subject matter experts as well as other couples that have gone through some things. And apparently this morning, without me even knowing it, we're going through some things regarding this car.
You knew.
Look,
he knew.
They're already siding with me because you were torn between, is our daughter okay? Is my car okay?
No, I knew our daughter was okay. But when I said my baby, I was like, oh, I did think my car too.
So this is one of those days where we're actually bringing you a very strong subject matter expert, which may probably turn into a counseling session.
He might be helping us. I don't know.
So I want to take this moment to welcome to the Married into Crazy podcast, Mr. Paul Allen Jr. from, he's down in Southern California. I'm going to let him go ahead and give his intro of his, to kind of explain his practice, and then we're going to get into why we wanted him to be on our show.
Hello, everybody. I am just tickled by you two. You guys are so hilarious and funny. But yes, I am Paul Allen Jr. I am a LMFT, licensed man family therapist here in the state of California. I am a group practice owner, practice called Hue of Mental Health, where our mission is support people of color by people of color within the community in different ways. And I'm so thrilled and happy to be here on you guys' show and have some great fun conversation.
Fantastic. That's what it's all about. So you heard the preamble, right? You heard.
I heard it. I was trying to talk, and he just got right in. I had some questions, but go ahead. Go ahead.
Go ahead, because he's going to be on my side in a little bit.
No, I was just going to say welcome, and also just ask you just to tell us a little bit about yourself and how your background and experiences have shaped your approach to marriage therapy.
Yeah, so I've been doing counseling for about the past 12 plus years. with different techniques, different modalities to support couples in all stages where we're dating, premarital, what I call seasoned couple, which you two may fit to that category. Couples been together for quite some time and seen each other grow into different things. And so I have learned that every couple is different, every couple is unique, and I have a really fun, joyous time on really learning how to be present with couples to expand in the way that they are looking to be expanded on, whether it comes to parenting, financial stress, work related stress, transitioning, empty nest syndrome, which is another common one. And another big one is cultural differences. That's another big one that I see a lot in my practice. People just learning how to be more supportive, more present with each other in that way. So
That's wild. You cover the full gamut. Well, here's something I'm curious about. Do you think it's easier now? I'm talking post-COVID.
okay.
Do you feel as if the way you approach working with couples and families is the same now as it was before COVID, or has COVID created a shift? And I'd be curious to what that nuance might be.
Yeah, COVID did a lot of things, a lot of good things and a lot of not so good things. A lot of couples in the midst of COVID, you saw a lot of anxiety, a lot of depression, a lot of even rethinking this relationship. Because now I'm glued to you. Prior to COVID, I had a break, an 8 hour a day or 10 hour a day. I don't have to see your face. And now I'm stuck in the house with you and your kids and the dogs and cats, and created a whole lot of different perspective on how I thought life would be with you. And so post COVID, I think a lot of, well, like for many of us, it created an opportunity to reflect on what it is I'm passionate about, whether it comes to personally, professionally, and then bringing that within a relationship can create a lot of change. Because once what I told you, this is how I view my life, and now how I view my life may be completely different. How does the relationship adjust to that? How does the relationship change with that? Is a lot of the concerns I get from a lot of couples post COVID.
That's cool.
That's cool.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, so as a therapist, so to me, it sounds like very enriching work. We had talked before when we initially met, and you know that Snooks is finishing up her MSW, and we have a lot of conversations around different topics as it relates to working, within sociology and a bunch. It's just society at large. What do you find to be, I guess, the most fulfilling aspect of what you do with families and couples?
I really enjoy supporting, people within the community, especially marginalized members of the community who don't feel like they have the resource or the accessibility to access someone professional like myself, to help them relationship grow and to change. A lot of within culture plays a huge aspect in marriage and relationships, and how I'm supposed to see it, how I'm supposed to react, and what I'm supposed to deal with and not deal with. So it can create a lot of internal stress, which leads on to a lot of negative symptoms. And so something that I find myself really enjoying and finding some delight in, excuse me, is when I see couples really open up and be honest in session and very transparent about these different issues and how it plays a role in their day-to-day relationship and where they would like to see themselves to be within the relationship. And you start to see like the little, I call it the what is his name from the movie Shrek, the ogre, right? And he makes this reference of like the layers of the onion just like peeling and peeling away until you get to the core, until you get to the funk. That is what I really enjoy. And that's when we can really start making permanent changes, not for
Right.
self, but also for the relationship.
Right. I like that. But one thing that I kind of want to just kind of talk a little bit more about is say the name of the company again, the business.
Hue of Mental Health Inc.
Hue of Mental Health. I love that because I think as soon as I heard hue, I thought color. So let's talk a little bit more about how that came to be because I think that's important.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely fell into this business, not by my personal chance, but I believe very much for my higher power, higher calling. So when it comes to creating the group, I was doing a lot of solo practice for quite some time. I was trained in variety of different sets of communities. And I was at another business where they were doing a lot of couples work, and I was getting very much great support and resources of how to support couples in different functions. So then I got to a point where I wanted to try on my own and see how things go. And that's what I did. And then I had got into an injury, and
Mm.
so based on that injury, caused me to lean into my resources, which is my own private practice. And at the time when I was looking to build it, I wanted my name to be very much intentional on the people who I wanted to support, because happens a lot. I just talked to another client about this where they were talking about how they move up in life and they're excelling and all these different things. And then we were talking about community, and I had shared many people who climbed the ladder, corporate ladder, financial ladder, whatever ladder that made sense to you. We tend to forget to bring people with us, right?
Mm.
We look from afar and we will bring maybe one or two at a time. That's when provoked or when it's we feel is appropriate. But I wanted to create a name where my business grows, that it evokes that community. It's a us thing. It's a we
Mm-hmm.
thing, and with all shades, because mental health doesn't affect just one particular race, one geographical location. It affects everyone around the world. And
That's
I hear
right.
so many times from clients that, oh my God, you don't know how helpful this was to hear this from someone of color to tell me
Mm.
about so and so and so and so. Or it's great to hear about someone presenting something in this space that's from a male perspective and then a male of color perspective, versus what we are mostly used to is hearing very Western ideas and Western philosophy, which is usually
Mm-hmm.
one note. So that's why that name was very much intentional, like why I wanted people to understand that, hey, there are resources and there are people out there who look like you or don't look like you, which is fine. That's your choice. But you have options now versus before, maybe 15 years ago, it wasn't a very social thing.
That's right. That's right. And for the people who are not watching YouTube, I mean, I almost have a headache because I'm nodding at everything he's saying. I'm like, "Yep, that's right. That's right. That's right." I love it, and I remember our first conversation that we had, and we were talking. I was like, "Oh, okay," because you are the very first black male LMFT that I've ever met. And I always felt like, well, that number one is great, and I feel like that could reach a whole lot of other men that look
Yeah,
like you because of the I feel like because of the stereotype that
yeah.
goes along with counseling and that sort of thing. So I want to ask you, is there still that in your experience? Do you still come across that, the stigma of a surrounding therapy within the black community, and if so, how do you challenge it?
Yeah, there's definitely some stigma around, mental health, not just in Black community, but Brown communities, any
Mm,
kind of culture communities, definitely, as of where we feel that it is appropriately okay to lean in. A lot of times, what we get is what I get hear clients tell about the struggles of coming was due to, spirituality is like a big one, slash religion is a big one indicator, and
mm-hmm,
then cultural stance on talking about past traumas and bringing things up spiritually, how that evokes certain omens and other negative spirits within a home. And so a lot of like bad things can come up by talking about these things. And
mm-hmm,
so I definitely still get a lot. I have to like spend at least 10 minutes, with married couples, individuals about the impact and the importance of mental health and what they actually look like. Because a lot of you have just misinformation, even in 2024, where we have technology literally at our fingertips. We can ask Siri and Alexa's anything we need to know, right? But
mm-hmm,
people are still misinformed, and part of
mm-hmm,
that is through social media, and part of it just I feel like a laziness, or
mm.
another part of it just if it's not in my neighborhood, then I don't need to worry about it. I don't need to deal with
Right,
it, right?
right.
That part. You brought up something. You touched upon social media. With the advent of all this technology, we were looking at AI,
Hmm.
ChatGPT, Gemini. There's so many that are out there now.
Yeah,
And before we were always talking about, as a matter of fact, not that long ago, several weeks ago, the Surgeon General just declared that social media is a detriment to health.
okay.
Mm.
And so I'm curious, how big? I mean, I mean, not going in, sharing anybody's business or something like that, but has social media been a talking point or a sticking point or something that has some causality when it comes to the work that you're doing with couples?
Absolutely. I get a lot of couples that come in and talking about how the IGs and the TikToks, how they create different elements within the relationship, a lack of trust, lack of safety and security within their relationship happens quite often. And
Yeah.
the tools of communication, the people feel like because we're at this age where communication is instant, like social media, there should be no excuse of why communication is lapsed, why there's an issue with communication. And people are still quite not understanding that we're not, so much you mentioned about AI, we're not robots, we're not just, you know, very much programmed in that way. We're still humans using these
Right.
devices, using technology, and there are
Right.
many things that I may lean into, and there are many things that I don't want to lean into. So definitely, definitely it's easier. It can be deemed easier to have an affair from a social media standpoint. It can be easier for things to pop up as of what you're into, whether it be physically, sexually with a partner. That can feel very guilty of like watching porn while you're on the subway heading the way home, right? Or
Right.
just reading certain novels online that you may not be able to. So it's opened up so many things, and I feel it's a great talking point. But a lot of couples may not take that time to do so because there's a lack of trust and safety that's within these relationships.
Yeah. Um, Speaking on, talking about communication, what are some of the common communication patterns that you see in couples or that couples, I want to say, have challenges with?
Common patterns. A lot of couples, as I shared before, have a lot of concerns or struggles with conflict. This A and A's with certain generation. I would say certain generation, not all generations, where communication looks like a certain way, and if it doesn't look like a certain way, then it's an easy rejection. It's an easy to let go. And I like to teach couples that conflict is a great aspect for expansion, for learning, for self and in the relationship, and to even test these skills that you are doing and learning for self to better yourself. Here's a good opportunity to see what comes up for you, what happens for you. And a lot of certain couples see that as more of a detrimental aspect. So a lack of listening, lack of being understood. I hear that quite often. Lack of emotional safety of, hey, I can be transparent with you and tell you, man, your feet stink, right? But if I'm scared to say that because I feel like if I tell your feet stink, you're gonna break up with me, you're gonna think I hate you, you're gonna think I don't want you. I just want to
Right.
tell you your feet stink and I don't want it in my face, right? So we create a lot of open space where we can have those very transparent conversations about feet, food, whatever it may be.
Right.
He says feet, food.
Tell me, I hear it all. I've heard it all. There's nothing that surprises me anymore.
Look,
Well,
cause some stinky feet might be a
hey,
deal breaker. I'm just saying.
there was always that joke. I remember back in the day when Halle Berry went through her first divorce, and it was like, "Well, you don't know, her feet might stink," and I'm like, I
Oh.
might be able to put up with that one. But I was reflecting back on your career, some of the steps that you've taken.
Hmm.
You've worked in other practices, so it sounds like you've had a very eclectic exposure, if you will, to
Yes.
clients, all different hues.
Yes.
And now that you've created your own, you're focusing more on people of color because of the disparity of I guess, access. And
Yes.
like you said, that ability to feel safe
Hmm.
and that you're not being marginalized by the person that you're talking to.
Right.
Have
Or
you?
discredited. I mean, there's so many, and I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I'm not trying to take over your question, but there's so many times where people they don't go because number one, they don't feel like they're understood, or they feel like, the therapist or whomever they're talking to, it's just all in their head. They play
Yeah.
it down a lot. So if I don't feel like I'm in a safe space to where what I'm saying to you, you're going to take seriously, then why am
Right.
I even coming here?
You'd be
So
surprised. A lot of the comment that I get is, and this is a common amongst most people of color, is I don't want to have to explain my culture to someone who I'm coming to get support with. Now I'm your
right.
educator. Now I'm your teacher, and I'm paying you for all that
That's
to
right.
happen, right?
That's
I
real.
don't I don't want that dynamic. That's a common dynamic, and I educate clients that yes, we may have the similar hue, doesn't mean we have similar experiences. And so from
That's
a
right.
therapist standpoint, it's very helpful for us to learn what does being brown look like for you? What does being African American look for you? What does being Latinx look like for you? So that way I'm understanding how to be a great help and aid to you because I don't want to make a generalization that just because we both grew up in Compton, we both know what's up. Like that's not a fair way of showing up to support you.
That's huge. And
Right.
actually, that's one of the questions. With the advent of Black love over the
Mm,
course of the last, let's say 3 to 5 years,
yeah.
it's grown dramatically. But with the portrayal of Black love in the media, and we're seeing so much of it, how do you ensure that people truly are able to embrace the fact that we cover a wide spectrum of backgrounds, emotions, experiences, so forth, so that there's not just one rubber stamp of Black love that it can look like a lot of different things. How
Yeah.
do you navigate that?
Creating, we really help with clients to create an individualized treatment plan and support it. So if race and culture is part of why you're coming to session, then yeah, let's talk about it. Let's put it on the table and see what's out there. If it's not, if you're coming talking about your partner is not sexually attracted to you, is race really important thing to bring up and to share in this dynamic? Right. So we really look at in our assessment process, we really lean into couples and to individual and find out what's exactly do you need and how can I exactly support you so that way we're not wasting each other's time because I want to make sure you're getting out of this. I tell clients all the time, I call myself a very direct therapist. I'm a straight shooter. This is what I see. This is what happened, but I can't do that if you're not being open and honest and transparent about what actually I can help you with or what I
Right.
cannot help you with. Because I'll tell clients all the time, I may not be for you, and that's a okay. That may not be for you. Um, and I'd rather you get what you need versus you trying to create something out of this dynamic. But when it comes to helping Black love be very much connected and nurture and support it, it really, really goes down to just what does that definition mean to you as an individual, and how would you like to be that shown in within your relationship? Because a lot of people, a lot of couples, a lot of individuals, when it comes to most relationship, they do copy and paste how I saw mommy and daddy do it, how I saw pappy and nana do it, how I saw my brother and sister do it, whatever that, whoever raised you, that's usually what we stem these definition of relationship on. And that's what we find ourselves in some hiccups, right? Some aspects it could be very helpful and other aspects is not as much because we're only learning just the external aspect of what we saw in these relationships. Because we don't see nana and pappy or mom and daddy have fights or heal or lean in or forgive. Those parts are never shown. This is
Right.
why when it comes to talking to parents, I always encourage parents, you should be having conflict in front of your children. And you should be showing children how to heal in these moments. Because if not, these kids are going to learn from social media, from friends, and other sources that you may not feel appropriate or comfortable to do so. You're having kids to show them, you're showing kids, excuse me, how to de escalate yourself, taking slow, deep breaths, leaning into the love connection within the relationship, saying I'm sorry, which is another common thing for people of color. We don't want to say sorry, but we have a hard time apologizing for most anything. Similar to the car situation there in the conversation situation, we have a hard time saying them. And so we talk about I teach clients about how to seek forgiveness and how to grant forgiveness. What does that process look like? And that's something that, again, not much shown from an external aspect in relationship, but it is shown from more of a spiritual, like we pray, right? We meditate on our word and what the word says that we're supposed to show up in this particular space. But sometimes that's not always, again, fits the situation or the situation.
I love that.
That's great. That I mean, that's so good because even with our for ourselves, we didn't really like have fights in front of our kids. They would see us disagree about something on the spot, like, what are you talking about? Blah blah blah, whatever. But if it was some big stuff going down, I look at him and I'm like, I didn't say it, but with my eyes, man, I'll see you in the bedroom. It's really finna go down.
It's WWE. Let's get it
Right,
on.
exactly. But it's so funny too because one of them, it was like 5 or 6 years ago. We were in the kitchen, we were talking, and they were like, "You and Dad used to fight all the time." I'm like, "What? What are you you talking about? But their idea of fighting was
Yeah.
something totally different from
Yeah.
what we did. I was like, that was not a fight. That was me being annoyed or him being irritated or whatever.
Right.
So learning what it means to fight, what fighting actually
Right.
looks like. And
Yes.
but not just the fighting part. You said something very important, the forgiveness and the makeup. Because
Yes.
too many kids, I think, and I think for my reasoning was like, I know so many kids who all they did was see their parents fight. And so I'm like, my kids will never see me fight, but I missed the now let's make up, now let's forgive, or what have you. We've
Yeah.
had the conversations of, you got to be forgiving, blah, 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 whatever. But, that's a important thing. Now they grown now, be like, I don't care what he say, now we can just go with it. But that I think that is so important. And I hope people out there listening, they get that and they heard that,
Yeah.
that it's
Yeah.
okay to see conflict as long as you see positive conflict resolution too.
Right.
Absolutely.
Or even not always positive outcomes. That's something a lot of people are taught when we're addressing conflict, that there has to be a positive outcome. There may not be positive outcome. And our positive outcome may just be, agree to disagree or setting ways. But we can
Right.
still lean into the relationship for connection. I can still see you as a friend. I can still love on you and support you, even though you get on my nerves, even though you said something I felt was inappropriate or stupid, right? That connection doesn't erase because we've had this type of interaction. I think a
Got
lot
you.
of couples miss that dynamic. Like, that is a-okay, and that may be the wrong word to use, but I'm gonna say it because I say in my session, it is healthy. Because a lot of you have this whole definition: what is a healthy relationship, or what is a not healthy relationship.
I
So I tell people
definitely
that
agree with
there
that.
is no such thing, but there is a thing. If that makes sense, it's like it's a kind of
Right.
a little situation.
Right.
No,
I
that's
definitely
real.
agree. As long as we don't end with him calling me the B word, then I mean it's all good,
Oh, it happens. It happens all the time.
Well, in your
Like-
head,
like
in
Key-
your sleep,
like that
when
Key
you're
and Peele.
dreaming.
Key and Peele. Like Key and Peele is like, I'm like,
Okay.
I my little something squeak out. But realistically, no. But I love that because I think you're touching on an extremely important part that everyone thinks that there needs to be a right and a wrong,
Yeah.
I'm right and you're wrong.
as
So, I
opposed
mean,
to just
that
difference of
makes sense.
opinion. They're going to
Yeah.
exist. There's
Yeah,
going to be
absolutely.
there's such a thing as positive conflict
Yeah.
that we can actually walk away from it. We don't have to agree, but we do need to respect each other.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. I think a lot of people they are a lot of fear based. Well, I don't want to start because if I start, this is going to maybe rock the relationship to where we're no longer together, or I may rock it to where I may now activate a side of myself that I don't want to come out. And then we talk about, well, then aren't you responsible for yourself? So regardless of how your partner, I tell couples all the time, regardless of your partner shows up, you're responsible for you. So this whole they control the buttons, they say things that upset me, they knew what to do. Like,
That's
no, that's creating more excuse for yourself. That's up to
Right.
you on how you want to respond. These are choices that we're making in situations.
That's right.
I love that. That's good. That's good.
Except for when I put him in a headlock, I'm like, bro, you made
You
me
know
do it.
what?
I don't know.
See, she playing. If we get to the point
She
where she's
goes-
put me in a headlock, I probably like it.
I was about to say, right? She's doing the Steve Austin on you.
I'm like, let's go. Make sure you put that leather on, girl.
That's right. There you go.
Hey, so here at Married into Crazy, that we talked about this before, that crazy, it can have a negative connotation to it at times.
Yeah.
And in our realm, and these are our 5 pillars of teaching, so again, just to remind everyone, crazy stands for compassionate, real, accountable, zealous, and yielding. So I'm going to throw this at you, Paul.
All right.
He's like, oh, wait a minute. We ain't talking about no tests.
So when you're looking at, I say that the large swath of individuals that you're working with, where do you feel like if you were to spin this, I won't say spin the bottle, but when you spin this wheel and it lands on something, it has to be one of these 5: compassionate, real, accountable, zealous, and yielding. Where do you think it lands most often, where you have a tendency to spend a lot of time, more times than not, with your couples?
Good question.
Absolutely accountability. That's like hands down the most where taking accountable of self and taking accountability for the relationship. People tend to spend more accountability on somebody else well, he didn't say this, she didn't say that, and they can give you a whole list of what that looks like. And we rarely hear, well, what does that look like for self? What part of this are you taking accountable for? And then leaning into the relationship, how are you holding the relationship accountable for when it comes to whatever the matter may be? So that will be like the most common topic that we spend a lot of time on.
I love it. I love it. So I have another question, if that's okay. So in your experience, how has historical stereotypes about Black masculinity impact
Ooh.
the approach to marriage?
Ooh, this is a great question. I get this a lot. And get this in a good way and not so good way. So when I get
Right.
couples of African American descent, the male will come in. He's all jazzed up. Oh, we got a brother. I got a brother on my side. A brother gonna help me out, and it's always goes to that list. And then we sit down, and then his accountability. We're talking about this, and they're like, "Oh, you ain't on my side, man. You ain't trying to help me out here." So that happens quite often as of that male with male connection in couples theory that a lot of men, lean towards, and a lot of women, I get surprised all the time. A lot of women also enjoy hearing a male perspective
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to relationship advice and relationship support
Mm-hmm.
and just all around support from a male. What I get surprised all the time because in my Western education, it was taught the opposite per se, and so really sitting down and helping a client to understand that whether it's male or female or a different gender that you may be identified with, like it's not more of me, it's more of what are we here for. So we try our best to kind of put it back on the relationship versus looking at who you see here. And yes, we see here as a connecting piece and rapport piece, not so much as a catalyst piece, like, oh, we're taking from you and then building from there. To me,
Right.
that what makes a really a great therapist to hold that space. So that way, our goal here, and we tell our clients that our role and my as a therapist is the couple. That's our focus. That's our client. Is the
Mm-hmm.
relationship, not the
Mm-hmm.
male, not the female, or male or female. It is the relationship, and that
Right.
depends on how the client is telling us what that definition is and how they
Mm-hmm.
like to see it expanded. So usually with that setup, we find the masculinity kind of go to the side or femininity kind of go to the side. But we do use it, or I use it, would say, for help to rapport base because I get a lot of like young men, teenagers wanting to link in, or men just I have a count if in my office of how many times I made men cry in front of me, and so far I'm at 203. So I'm going
Wow.
strong and getting these men to cry because it's just a personal victory for myself just to get men to be more emotional, which could
Right.
be really a challenge for some of us, and to be
Mm-hmm.
present, especially with another man,
Mm-hmm.
feeling safe to be that
Mm-hmm.
way. It
Mm-hmm.
can take a lot to get to that
Mm-hmm.
level.
That's right.
You know, I want that to marinate. I really want our listeners to really take a moment and reflect upon what you just said. There's a level of vulnerability that is lacking.
It's
Mm.
required. It should
It's
be.
required, but it's lacking
Mm-hmm.
within communities of color.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely, absolutely.
We've been brought up to compete, right? As opposed to, and when you're competing, you don't cry. You don't cry in front of the competition,
Mm-hmm.
and so we were supposed to compete with everyone around us, jump higher, run faster, get better grades, dress better, do this, that, and the other. And I think somewhere along the lines we stop and we don't know, we lose sight of if we're going to compete, who we're supposed to be competing
I was
with,
about to
because I think they
say.
bring it in the
Yeah, you
relationship.
do.
So now I'm competing with her.
Yep. And it should not.
Mm.
We can't be a team if we're in competition. So I mean.
And it goes back to stereotypes, the way that we think we're supposed to raise our young men. But I want to twist that a little bit because I think there's a level of toxic femininity that's involved within
Here we go.
communities of color as well.
Here we go.
Just do me a favor, emphasize it, roll your neck a little bit when you say that.
Here we go.
And you see a lot of that really differ from the generations that you were brought up on. So that would be huge different from a baby boomer who have a different perspective than what you're sharing, that a
Mm-hmm.
Gen X, right? Or
Mm-hmm.
Gen Z, a millennial, right? Whatever term that kind of associates you, as of what you mentioned about the competition and the leaning in and that aspect of transparency, what's important. Because a lot of, especially with baby boomers, when I have those clients, a lot of those value is work ethic as I have to prove myself to show that I know what I'm doing or who I am, and also survival, right? Because they were
Right.
raised by people from the Great Depression, right? So a lot of instinct now, we have to do this is like all that survival kind of kicking in. And then you have the Gen X, who are the out product of being raised by parents with that kind of survival technique, but with a mix of different lenses. And as time goes on and on, compared to the generation we have now, who emotions are usually a okay. I can get pretty anyone under the age of like 21, getting them to talk about their feeling isn't usually a challenge. It's more of, well, what does this mean? What am I supposed to do with it? How am I supposed to go on? How am I supposed to see myself based on what I'm feeling and expression? Compared to the older generation, they know who they are. They got where they're going. They
Right.
got all the things that they accomplished, but connecting with their inner self. Some people call it an inner child. That's another modality. That's the harder part because I don't know who my inner self is because I've never spent time to invest and to connect with that inner side of me because I've
That's
built so
right.
much my life developing external things,
Right.
career, family, car, whatever that definition of sex may be. So it usually is a little bit different per generation.
Yeah. That's
Bro, you're good. Look,
he trying to sign us up.
boy, I'm
Trying to
like,
sign us
what's our
up.
next session? We got to
We
cut the camera and get to work.
we needed him in year 4.
Oh my goodness.
We did. Well, we almost got divorced. What's interesting, though, I'm glad you said that.
About year 4.
So, we're coming up on, we're 27 and a half years married.
Congratulations.
And
Thank you.
year 4, we were like full on at the doorstep of divorce. I mean, basically, we were walking through the doorway. We just got stuck because we both walked through
Trying
at
to
the
walk
same
through because
time.
you ain't getting out before me. I'm finna get out first.
And through circumstances, and we believe divine intervention, we had to sit down and really take a look at ourselves. But part of the challenge back then, this is 23 years ago, was trying to find somebody like you
Yeah.
that we could sit down and have an honest conversation with.
Yeah.
Because there was some hesitation. We did go see counselors, but it was almost like, how much am I really going to tell this person? Because there was a level of, I didn't trust them walking through the door
Yes.
because they didn't look like me. I know they wouldn't understand where we're coming from. Like there was a whole dynamic that I had to actually, granted, we grew through it, but there was a whole dynamic about I had to cut the umbilical cord with my mother, right? And I had to stand up and be a man in different areas and stand up for my wife and all that. But I was never going to have that conversation with somebody that I had to explain, the relationship between a black single mother and
Raising
her only son.
child.
And, there was a lot that was there that I wasn't prepared to unpack. And so we had to do the whole DIY, trial and error. Can't stand the way you chew your food. Look at her breathing. I don't even like the way she, there was a lot that we went through, and thank God we survived.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I see the value in what you're doing.
Yeah.
And it's so needed.
And even, you're talking about, he brings up his part of it as far as like cutting the umbilical cord. Mine was the total opposite, where I was also raised by a single mom, divorced, and one of the very first things she instilled in me was you don't rely on no man, on nobody. You have your own, you're blah blah blah. So here we are. I'm like saying this is the man of my dreams, this is who I'm gonna spend my forever with, blah blah blah. And when he started talking about head of the household or whatever, I'm like his grandma. What she say? I don't care what that book say.
Put your money in our shared account. Wait, what? Hold on.
Yeah, that's interesting how you define this relationship potentially on mistrust by experience that you've never even created, right?
Right.
So that generational trauma that happens a lot in people of color
Exactly.
definitely is permanent in relationships as of this is what I saw, this is what I do. So I do a lot of psychoeducation when I do. We have a premarital program at my group practice, and so really sitting with couples like this is what is marriage, right? From a particular way, from a psychology way, a curriculum way, and how now we can fuse what it is and what it is that you want, right?
Right.
And a lot of that is debunking expectations, right? So maybe one day you can put an E on your crazy, but expectations, because that's another common concept where couples come in is I expect my husband to be a man, to open up my door, to defend me, to speak up, to no matter provide for me in this way. Or I expect my wife to give me sex 24/7. However, I like it, when I like it, right? And so forth and so forth. And that's what we meant with different challenges as a well, that's not what I signed up for. That's not what I want. Or, yeah, that was up until year 3, and now we're year 4. My body is different, right? I
Right.
went through different seasonal changes as a growth. I maybe had an injury, or maybe there be a medical diagnosis. So we need to redefine this marriage. And that grief, you mentioned earlier about losing your car, right? We're grieving what we have, what we lost, and that
Right.
also changes that relationship as well. So how can we create more open conversation so
That's
we can
right.
do that as one versus I see you as the enemy and
The
you're,
enemy.
this
Right.
change is your fault. We bring a lot of blame and shame there.
Right. That's good. That's good. Yep.
That's good. Yeah, we haven't even touched on some of the other things that we've gone through. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, man. So is everything that you do within your company, is it all in person, or do you do online as well? Let the people know how they can actually get in touch with somebody like yourself, because I guarantee somebody out there is listening like, oh, I need to talk to him.
Oh, no, I appreciate that. Yeah, so we do offer, if you're in the Southern California area, if you want to do in person, we do offer in person, and we do virtual sessions for those who are located in the state of California. Actually, today we put on, I don't know if you guys knew this, but I just, again, Google technology. Today is National Social Media Giveaway Day. I don't know if you know that. And so what my business did, we are giving away 5 participants free counseling sessions. Pro bono, doesn't cost you anything, just to sit with myself and one of my team members to start to unpack whether you're individual or couples therapy. All you need to do is follow us on social media, which is Talks with JR and at Hue of Mental Health. Like and share, and you could be one of the potential winners to get some free therapy.
That's what's up. Thanks for telling me, because the day's not over. I need to go in there and get on that.
Yeah,
It's
you
on
better
not
your
do
socials.
exactly.
You better do that. I've been saying,
No, that's beautiful. Again, once again, can you give all your handles so people can follow you? You obviously have a social media presence. So hit that again, and we're going to go ahead and put it in our show notes as well, so people can start to follow you and stay in tune with all the different things that you're doing.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Yeah. So our group practice website is www.huemh.com. We're on social media, Instagram, Facebook. So you can find us on Instagram at Talks with JR and at Hue of Mental Health. Those are where we are. And we're also on Facebook too. You can find us on Facebook as well.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Let me ask you this. So we want to be respectful of your time, but I want to ask, if you had a parting word to the world, let me do it this way. If you were going to create a billboard
Okay.
that was going to be seen in every capital throughout the United States that is owned by Hue of Mental Health, a message you wanted to get out to everyone that's consistent across the entire U.S., if not the world, what would that be?
It's a great question. I love this miracle type of question. Oh my goodness. I would say love and accomplishments must start from reflection and determination.
Love and accomplishments must start from reflections and determinations.
And determination.
Okay. I like it.
That's what I would
Right.
say. I would say.
I like that. Well, JR, Mr. Paul Allen Jr., we appreciate you spending time with us this evening. We look forward to actually sharing you with our audience.
Yeah.
Definitely want to continue to follow you. Let us know. Stay in touch. Let's make sure that we're staying in tune with each other, because we love to support you as you continue to grow and do all of your important work.
Yeah. Make sure this is not the last time that we see you.
Absolutely. No, I appreciate you guys allowing me to be on your platform and sharing this
Of
time
course.
with me and
course.
having this great conversation. But yes, hopefully it's not our last chat. Hopefully we have many more. I look forward
Yes.
to seeing you both grow as well with your business as well.
All right, fantastic. Hold on a second. So, like we always do, we try and bring you value to everyone out there listening or watching on YouTube. Go out, and I'm not going to say share this episode with everybody, because every episode is not for everyone. But if you know someone right now that is having some challenges, when it comes to their mental health, because of intimate conversations that you've had with them, that you know that they're in a space where they could really need to talk to someone, share this episode. Tag those individuals, or go ahead and take it, get the link, send it out to them so they can be introduced to JR and be exposed to this conversation. If not him, if not us, anyone that is doing good work in this arena needs to be available for those people. And we ask that you share the word and go ahead and like, subscribe, share, so that way we can continue to get this conversation out to as many people as possible that need it, because the only way we improve mental health is talking about it and making it something that's going to be available to everyone and not talk about in the back room in whispers.
That's right.
So until the next time,
be blessed.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Married into Crazy podcast with Snooks and Lovey. Please like, subscribe to, and review the show wherever you access it, and tell a friend about us. Visit marriedintocrazy.com and see how Snooks and Lovey can bless your marriage directly.